Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm Charlotte McGinnis, and as always, I want to thank you for taking some time to join me here on Sundays or at your convenience. And remember, anytime you'd like to pass this along, I'd be grateful. Just push the share button or however you might want to pass it along. Also, I do put these up on my YouTube channel, pretty much just for archives, but they are there. So you can go to youtube.com/InspireYOUTV. Lots and lots and lots of videos there over the years, so you can see them all. Okay, so here we are. Happy Sunday. Got up early today, went out, bought a new bird feeder yesterday, so I had to hook that thing up, and birds are happy. And the squirrels are happy, I'm happy, life is good, so there you have it. Well, if you're interested or in need of prayer, all you have to do is let me know any requests you'd like to submit to our prayer team, and we'll be happy to pray for you and pray for the greatest good, the highest outcome in the mind of God possible. So we're literally surrendering to the greatest good for all. Also, every Sunday I'm here, as you know, 11:11. I also have courses in the week, Course of Miracles on Fridays on Zoom, and Wednesday we're in our Joel Goldsmith book group. So you're always welcome to pop in and join us on those if you choose. Okie doke. So today I'm going to start with a quote that, thank you Arlene for putting this up on Facebook, because it definitely became what I was going to sort of supported what I'm talking about today, and I decided to start my conversation with this. And it was by Walter Cronkite. Boy, I wish we had newsmen and women like Walter Cronkite. I mean, they were true newsmen, and they studied, and it was a different day then, but here we are now. So he said, "War itself is a form of madness. It's hardly a civilized pursuit. It's amazing how we spend so much time inventing devices to kill each other and so little time working on how to achieve peace." And, you know, this is a lot of levels to that statement. And I want to start, first of all, you know, we're in the midst of chaos all over the world, actually. And we talked last week, where do we go from here? How do we best respond to what's happening in the world? And we're building on that theme, because right now the world needs peacemakers, not war makers, okay? And this is an opportunity for us to really shine our spiritual light, our God light, and bless the world. So blessed be the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And as we know, that came from Jesus' message on the Beatitudes. And it's a powerful one. I love the Beatitudes. So back to this statement, it's a form of madness. Absolutely not a civilized pursuit. Amazing how much we spend. And when he said this 50 years ago, he'd be blown away by how much we're spending today on this war, inviting and inventing devices to kill each other. And instead of, if we just put a pinch of that money into achieving peace, we'd have it. I do believe if we really wanted peace, we would have it. But we have to really let go of our personal agendas, all of us. We have to be peacemakers, not wish for peace, but be the peacemaker in the world. And so I love this, because it's hardly a civilized pursuit. And, you know, it's no matter how modern and awesome the weapons are, they're not civilized. It's barbaric. No way to look at it other than that. So good morning, Susan. Happy Sunday. So, you know, we really have to get out of this war mentality. And, you know, first of all, we've got a war within ourselves that goes on every moment, and we have to be vigilant and choose peace, choose to be a peacemaker than a war maker. And we do that through really tapping into our higher self, the God within, and choose peace always. And war is not the making of God at all. And I know that last week I shared that, war, this is someone's idea, and that war is sometimes a necessity. And this was coming from a religious organization. Sometimes it can be a necessity. It's not a good option, obviously, but sometimes to bridge us to where we need to be, sometimes it can be useful. But Jesus was definitely not an advocate for war, but he definitely met people where they were and where they could hear and understand the message. I don't think that is his thoughts on war or conflict were nearly as extreme as what we're dealing with now. So we've really gone mad, and it's not about pointing fingers or blaming, and it's really about how can we overcome this. And I know we can. I believe we can. I know we can. And with this statement, there's the sweetest picture, and it's poignant, and it's 3 young men, little boys, probably 8 years old, and they're hugging each other. And one has an American flag on, one has the Israeli flag, and the other little boy is Palestinian, and they're just hugging each other, and behind them is the backdrop of war and what's crumbling in the Middle East. And it is heartbreaking, and it's not something that I want to delve into and take on energetically. I want to tap into a higher vibration, because only the mind of God, only the laws of God, only the energy of God can overcome this. And so we really have to amp up our God energy, our loving energy. And so from Matthew, in Scripture, on the Sermon on the Mount, Beatitudes, blessed be the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. It emphasizes the importance of actively working towards peace and reconciliation in our lives and in our community. So we've got the micro and we've got the macro. Like it or not, this war is a projection of the collective consciousness in the world. And, everything is vibration. And whatever, I talk about the quantum stew, and all my thoughts are things. And they have an energy, which my thoughts have feelings and energy that are attached to it. And that goes out into the field of the universe. So if I'm angry, or if I'm in internal conflict with myself or someone else or a situation, I'm feeding the problem. I'm making it more real. I'm putting more fuel on the flame. So we really have to work towards peace and reconciliation in our own lives and community. The song that we sang at the Namaste Center, and most Unity churches sing it. I think a lot of churches sing it. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. So we have to get back to, hey Janie, get back to that truth of recognizing peace begins with me. It starts with me. It starts with my relationships and my family and my neighbors and my friends and my coworkers, and expands outwards. So if we have conflict with ourselves, everything out here is going to be a projection of that inner conflict. So as I've reiterated, beat the drum for years now, yeah, my ego is not really thrilled with a lot of things happening in the world for a long time on a lot of levels. But I know spiritually, if I get upset or angry, I'm making it more real. I'm feeding what I don't want. And I'm not really being a peacemaker or a peace bringer. So it's about us stepping back, rising above the battleground, watching the war, and sending love to the entire world. No exceptions, no exemptions. And so, good morning, Molly. Happy Sunday. So on to this, the phrase, blessed be the peacemakers, is a part of the Beatitudes, as I said a minute ago. And so here's another context of it. It says, this particular verse highlights the value of those who strive to create peace and harmony among people. The term peacemaker refers to individuals who actively seek to reconcile others with God and with one another, embodying the spirit of peace that Jesus exemplified as the Prince of Peace. So, what's a peacemaker? It is an individual that seeks to reconcile others with God. And I would add to that, reconcile ourselves with God and others, and become prince or princesses of peace rather than warriors. And so what would a peaceful extension do? You know, and I don't know, but I know that the still small voice within me knows, and if I listen to that, I know it's always peaceful, it's calm, and I will respond and act from that place. Not get out there and just set things on fire and get upset and blow things up. That's not really a peaceful way to approach situations. So again, seek first the kingdom. We've heard this for all our lives, if you've had any kind of religious upbringing, and then you know, it's been taught for thousands of years, and it's time we get it, because, you know, it's pretty rough out there in that big ego world. It's very ego-driven, very fear-driven. Let me just add another piece to this. So even if you're not advocating against war and you're not protesting, and of course there is an appropriate place for protesting, I mean, in peace, to bring people together, to heal, and focus on that which we want to create. So there is a place, but we have to really check our egos at the door and check our intentions always, because it's very tempting to point fingers and make everything wrong, someone else wrong. And it doesn't mean that we have to agree or even like certain situations, but it does mean that ultimately the only way out of this insane world, which it is, it's upside down and backwards, and it's based in fear, and it's built on separation, and this is not the world that God intended for us. If we go back again to teach us to pray Jesus, right? It is to really bring earth and heaven together, to infuse every thought, feeling, and action I have with love and peace and joining rather than separation. So some things we can do to enhance our roles as peacemakers, because I do believe we all want to be, or choosing to be, a peacemaker, is first of all, not merely avoiding conflict, but it involves taking initiative to resolve disputes and foster understanding between conflicting parties. This can occur in various contexts, including family, friendships, workplace, and broader social issues. So again, find your peace within. It's going to be a lot easier to be a teacher of peace if we're living from that context. And so we bring it into our family, our friendships, workplace, everywhere we go. Engage with people in loving ways. If people are not like you and maybe don't have the same beliefs or thoughts, rather than cutting them off, it's like, oh, you voted for them, I'm cutting you off. Oh, you're an awful person, or whatever. I think that's like, wow, that's interesting. I don't have to agree with everything everyone's doing, but I don't have to condemn or curse another person's decision. And if you get to the spiritual psychotherapy aspect of that, it's fear. If I'm attacking and have to cut this off or whatever, it's because I feel like I'm being threatened and attacked, and it really is my own healing. So anytime, we've talked about this, I'm charged or upset or angry, you know, what do they say? If you're pointing a finger, you got three pointing back at you, right? Well, you got to look within. This situation is just reflecting back. It's feedback. This world, my body, this world is feeding back to me where I am in consciousness. So from an enlightened perspective, I believe that Jesus overcame the world, He was in the world, not of the world. He was above the battleground, watching without judgment, blessing, not denying. It's not about denial, but it's about putting our focus on what the most powerful asset we have, and we don't use it. And that is the power of the Christ within each and every one of us, and living from that in everything we do. Not getting into fights and battles and pointing fingers, and, that has not worked, okay? How many thousands of years have we been on this planet, and wars continue. It's not working, okay? We got what we need. We just got to do it and use it. So another thing we can do as a peacemaker is reflect on God's nature. Peacemakers mirror God's character. As he is the ultimate reconciler, the act of making peace reflects the divine action of reconciliation that God initiated through Jesus. And so it really is understanding that God is the ultimate reconciler. It's about binding back to really integrating this divine consciousness into everything we think and everything we do, and live from that premise. And, we've got Jesus, who demonstrated that awesomely. And I think his most awesome demonstration, his whole life was a demonstration, but coming up, we're in the Lenten season. Thank you, Susan, for your beautiful passages. Here we are moving through the Lenten season, and then, of course, it's the 40 days of sort of reconciling and reflecting and purifying our unhealed aspects. We're looking at where I am maybe choosing to let go of my ego in certain ways, and I recognize, it's really Jesus' 40 days in the desert, and that was actually a preparation for his purpose here on earth as a 33-year-old man who lived as a divine being, demonstrating to us what is potential and possible. And he demonstrated so strongly as he was being crucified and beaten and cursed at and spit at, and yet he was able to humbly say, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And I think that is when we're tempted to judge about this conflict that we're seeing, and whether it's personal conflicts in our daily life or the big one that we've collectively projected upon this Middle East situation. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. That can diffuse it. As the old adage, it takes two to fight, it takes two to tango. And the Course says it only takes one to heal a relationship, usually the saner of the two. So if a brother acts insanely or a sister acts insanely, it's a call for love. Am I going to jump into the cat and mouse battle, or am I going to step back, recognize it as a call for love, and bless it? So that's really a mantra. If we could take this into every time we see something that upsets us, and especially with this huge infusion of fear and darkness that's occurring in the Middle East, and forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. It's kind of hard, right? But maybe there's people that think they're doing the right thing, and I'm not here to judge. I am not the ultimate judge. But some people may, and I do believe some people, good people, think this is the right thing to do. Okay? Well, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And I'm not here to judge. And the more love I can put out into the world, the more this heat and fire of fear can just be diminished. Because if I'm not feeding it with consciousness and energy and vibration, it will disappear, truly. So true peace and is really, everything comes from the Greek, right? The Greek word for peace is eirene, and it encompasses wholeness and well-being going beyond the absence of conflict. Peacemakers work to restore relationships and create environments of mutual respect and love. So we have to go beyond conflict. It's beyond that, beyond the absence of conflict. Restore relationships and create environments of mutual respect and love. So forgive them, Father, right? They do know not what they do. Blessed be the peacemakers. Turn the other cheek. We've got all the lingo, right? Now, what are we going to do with it, right? Are we going to live it, or are we going to, well, that's good, except I better take care of this one because I know better in this. So start to create an environment, which I've got a new book that I'm going to share probably next week. It's got some great teachings in it. But creating an environment of peace and mutual respect and love. So we've got to start small. Don't go after the elephant. How do you eat an elephant? Which is kind of a gross thought. One bite at a time, right? So that seems, I don't like that analogy, but you got the point, right? So start small. Clean up your own mess in your own backyard, and then you'll be amazed at that ripple effect that extends from that. So, when we do live from a place of peace, the implications that come from that, those who engage in peacemaking will find joy in seeing others reconciled and relationships restored. This aligns with the biblical understanding that true happiness comes from living in accordance with God's will. What's God's will? God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God's will is for us to be reconciled and forgive and forgiven, to be at peace. And so it's in restoring our relationships with ourselves, situations, conditions, and everything in the world. So also, in this world, it's often marked by division and hostility. Being a peacemaker can be countercultural. It requires intentionality and courage to promote peace in various aspects of life. I would say all aspects of life. Wherever you are, wherever you go, wherever you are, God is. God is with us also. So when we live from that and say, I'm a peacemaker, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. I'm here for peace. I'm here for peace. I'm here for peace. How can you help somebody? The mantra, how can I be of service in everything I do? The mantra that I wake up to every morning, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say, and to whom? I do my best to say that before I even open my eyes in the morning, and that's really setting my intention to be a peacemaker and to live from the highest degree of love that I possibly can. And yes, I get upset, I get angry, I slip, I fall, and I get pissy and all that stuff, but, just pick yourself up and choose again. So blessed are the peacemakers serves as a powerful reminder to the call to actively pursue peace and reconciliation in our life. By embodying this principle, individuals not only reflect God's nature, but also contribute to a more harmonious and loving world. This teaching encourages believers to engage in actions that foster peace, demonstrating the transformative power of God's love in their relationships and communities. So, based on this article, it's time for us to be peacemakers and to live from that and carry that torch of peace everywhere we go, starting right here, right now. Wherever you go, there you are. Well, I don't know if you all are familiar with Paul Selig. I met him 12 years ago, I think. He was just coming out with his books, and interesting guy. And he's written several books, and he is actually a conduit to receive these messages from divine guidance, and he's got a great message. It really is. It's look him up. You can watch him on YouTube. He's got in many interviews. His books are fabulous. But he now refers to the upper room. And the upper room, of course, as we know, is where Jesus and his disciples had the Last Supper. It's a sacred space. And I would say it's a sacred space physically where the Last Supper took place. But the upper room is really in the divine mind, if you look at it as consciousness. And I just read this statement from him, and it was a message he received last year in October. And he says, to lift to the upper room and reclaim these things is not to dismantle them per se. It is to re-know them in source, beyond labels, beyond identities, beyond descriptors, and beyond the fear that has been embedded or encoded with them. Imagine, if you wish, that everything you see is being seen through a plate glass window that others have pressed their faces up against. Their fingerprints and their runny noses are all present on that glass. What a great analogy. And you look at that glass, assuming it's clean, but everyone who has ever seen a war, fought a war, died in a war, believed in war, sees war through that old plane of glass. When you begin to perceive with a higher sight that is present from the upper room, you're actually reclaiming even the first idea of war and releasing it to a new potential, so that a new idea of war itself can be known beyond any iteration that it has known itself in your idea of history. So I like that analogy, all the runny noses and the fingerprints and pressed up. It's kind of like it's all muddled. And again, that's sort of like an analogy that we're just projecting fear and the glass is dirty. And that's a representation of our vision. So as we look from this from a higher vibration, not only are we seeing it differently, but the past idea of war dissipates too. And that's really, true forgiveness is forgetting. And so when we really do live from the upper room, we're not caught up in the idea of war. We're just, and every time I just bless and forgive them, Father, and look beyond the illusion of my ego's judgment and all the perceived chaos happening in the world, and I identify with my true nature, which is my spirit, and that is changeless, formless, and eternal, then I'm in fully presence and love, and the past diminishes. So we have to feed the war to keep it alive, and we're feeding it with fear and projection. So he goes on to say, understand, if you wish, that in the upper room, even the idea of war does not exist as you know it, because it is a creation of fear. You are not prettifying the war. You're not making the war end more quickly. You're actually releasing the very idea of war, or reclaiming the first idea of war in a higher expression. So war cannot or will be invoked. And you cannot, and understand this, when something is not present in the level of field that you have held, you cannot claim it. Imagine that old telephone that you had bolted to your wall in your childhood was here in this room. No one here would even know what to do with it. Young people would say, what is that thing, that relic? We will not bring it to the new house we move into, and you will not bring war into the upper room. You will not bring shame in the upper room. And you will not bring hatred into the upper room. You will not bring greed into the upper room, because all of these things have been claimed in fear and holding the tone of fear. So we have to, when we live from this higher place, we live in the upper room, our divine mind. We're overcoming, we're blessing, and they don't belong in that. The new world, we hear about this new earth, new world, and it's kind of the blatant way to look at it is turn away from the fear, turn to love. We're not feeding the fear anymore. It has no more reason to be here. Our lessons are learned. It doesn't exist unless we keep bringing the patterns of the past into the present. That's why I've never been a fan of history repeats itself. We gotta look into our history to see how we can learn from that, and learning from it possibly, but thinking that the only reason things continue to cycle is because we keep saying, well, history repeats itself. Just look, and ta-da, it does, because we believe it. So there you go. So I suggest we forgive them, Father. We live from the upper room. If we did that, we'd be doing, that is so much more powerful than ammunition, battles, whatever it is that we're fighting, because we're just living in a different reality, truly. I mean, and it doesn't mean that we're denying the pain, because people are suffering. There's no question. But don't join in the suffering. It's just making it worse. Recognize and be the peacemaker who comes and blesses in all places. Ken Wapnick, great man. He was one of the people who really brought the Course of Miracles into being back early 70s, 72, I believe. Great teacher of it. Hey, Sue, good to see you. Wonderful teacher. He definitely interpreted it and presented it probably better than most, I would say. Because he, it was just like, don't try to bring your ego interpretations into this. He was what you would say a purist in his teaching. And I understand why he was adamant for that, because, the ego is always looking for a way to slip in and screw things up. Ain't that the truth? So based on our conversation here today, he says our job is simply to look without judgment. When we look without judgment, the ego dissolves, because the ego is held in place by judgment. When I let go of judgment, the ego dissolves. And then my feeling is the Holy Spirit did it for me, or Jesus did it for me, or what people call grace. I felt this experience of God's grace, and all I did was I cleared the decks. I got rid of the interference and the love that was always there. The thought of atonement that was always in my mind. It is now free to just be itself. So, look without judgment. We're so programmed to judge, and the judgment is not an attribute or an aspect of God. That's ego, trying to fix and control. Again, a quote I've said 1,000 times, if not 10,000 times, the world's not meant to be fixed, it's meant to be forgiven. So when we let go of the judgment, the ego dissolves. That's the glue that holds our ego together, is our judgment. Turn the cheek. That can have another analogy. Yep, look the other way. Oh, that path looks much more enticing. It's the path of the upper room. There's no conflict, no fear there, and we don't want to bring that with us. But it's not really a thought system that is supported necessarily by the world, because the world is here to keep us distracted, keep us upset, angry, divided, et cetera, in war, whatever it is. And I think it's time we do it differently. And when the power of peace is stronger than the power of fear, we'll have peace, period. And we don't have to sit here and mind other people's business, because tapping into our own heart, our own upper room, is the greatest power that we can bring into this crazy, insane world. Eleanor Roosevelt said, it's not enough to talk about peace, we must believe in it. And it isn't enough to believe in it, we must work at it. So being a peacemaker is our job, okay? I am a teacher of God. Blessed be the peacemaker. Live and let live. Unplug from that matrix of war. Bless those who are possibly doing what they're doing because they think it's the right thing, and then some who may have not so good intentions. I'm not here to judge. Like God said, just love everybody. I'll sort them out later. We don't have to be the police of the universe. Mandela, he says, as I have first said, the first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself. Great peacemakers are people of integrity, honesty, and humility. So be the peacemaker. You know, you want to make an impact on the world, deal with your own stuff. I find that often it's easy to, oh, I don't want to look at my stuff, so I'm going to go, you know, get angry in the streets and start breaking up stuff and whatever it is. And it's a distraction and an escape from really owning our own stuff. You could sit in a cave and heal your stuff and not come into contact with another human being, and that could be a blessing beyond measure, because the peace that you'd be radiating out into the world is stronger than anything that we can do. But we are doers, and we are here in the world to, you know, we have things we need to do. Make sure they're infused with love, and check your ego and your intentions before you speak or act. And so Charles Spurgeon, he's a reverend, and he says, blessed are the peacemakers, and one sure way of peacemaking is let the fire of contention alone. Don't fan it, don't stir it, don't add fuel to it. Just let it go out by itself. Begin your ministry with one blind eye and one deaf ear. So don't fan the flames. You know, yeah, we're not oblivious, we're not in denial, but that's not the world I want to build. I want to build a world where peace and love prevail. That's where I put my focus. Build on that, and it's amazing. Then we see the world differently. It's not so scary, because we're not identifying and needing this world to be different to feel at peace and to feel fulfilled, because we know that in the realm of eternity, this is parentheses in eternity, literally this time here in this body is a blip on the movie screen. And so use your time and your energy wisely. So anyone can love peace, but Jesus didn't say, blessed are the peace lovers. He said peacemakers. He's referring to a vocation, not a hobby on the sidelines of life. So not blessed be the peace lovers. Yeah, we all love peace, but that's not a bad thing, but be a peace lover. Now this is a statement from Richard Nixon. How about that? The greatest honor history can bestow is the title of peacemaker. Well, there you go. So he may have had a different way of approaching that than us, but that's okay. For, you know, bless him, bless everybody, just bless everybody. And this one I love, and Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. This is so true, and I take this to heart. Silence is a great peacemaker. Just keep your trap shut, okay? It's if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it, in other words. You know, don't take for granted the power of humility, stillness, kindness, quietness, transforming, reconciling your own heart, and the power of that. It's time that we do this. And if we follow the example of Jesus and other masters and become true peacemakers, the flood of love will cover the earth as with a blanket. So, you know, if we live from that, we're just, you know, just envision above the battleground, we're just blessing the world with peace, and we're covering it in a blanket of peace. And that is that's our vocation while we're here in this body. Be the peacemakers. We don't have to fix the war. If we get our own peace, what's it going to feed on? Think about it. So when this was one of those fabulous Buddhist monks that I just love, one of the monks said, when the world chooses war, one heart still prays for peace, not for headlines, but for humanity, not for victory, but for healing. Be that heart that prays for peace. Again, those monks on that walk for peace were definitely embodying and demonstrating the life of a peacemaker. And we too, we don't have to take a walk. It's not about us. If you want to, that's cool too. Hey, whatever you're inspired to do, it's all good. But just show up in peace. Hey, Leslie, happy to see you. So when we do walk in peace and in love every step, and that they were just demonstrating, 2,200 miles, every step in peace, which was transformative for so many. But if you choose to do a walk, pilgrimage, go for it. But the bigger message is, what are you doing right here, right now? So this is the closing little paragraph or two that I'm going to share with you to sort of seal all this up. And true victory is not measured by who stands above another or how many are defeated along the way. The deepest and most meaningful triumph is the kind that leaves no wounds behind. It's a quiet courage to choose understanding over hostility, a gentle word instead of a cutting one, and compassion where anger might have taken root. The world is not healed through conquest, but through connection. Every time a bridge is built instead of a wall, space is created for another human being to belong and to be heard, and to stand with dignity. In those moments, strength reveals its truest forms, not as a domination, but as the wisdom to preserve the wholeness of our shared humanity. This is the only kind of glory that truly matters, the kind that lifts everyone rather than leaving some behind. When peace becomes the goal, no one must fall so another can rise. No heart must be broken for another to feel victorious. Peace is the rare and sacred victory where humanity remembers it was never meant to win against itself. It is the triumph of choosing It is the triumph of choosing kindness over pride, unity over division, and love over the illusion that anyone must lose for the world to move forward. So be kind, be a peacemaker. If you really want to see the world move forward, unplug from this matrix. Forgive them, Father, for they know what they do. Put your energy into love, forgiveness, heal your own heart, reconcile, use this Lenten time to really lift that veil and live in the upper room and above the battleground. And I can't think of a better blessing or gift we can offer, not only to ourselves, but to the world. So I know it's a tough time. It's a sad time, and a lot of people are in fear, not denying that, but be a peacemaker. We all know what we got to do. So thank you, everybody. Andrea, good to see you. Thank you. And if you choose to pass this along, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And if not, that's totally cool too. And look forward to seeing you next week, okay? Take care, everybody. Namaste.